Do you ever feel a shiver down your spine when you're walking alone at night? A feeling that you're being watched by something just beyond the veil of darkness? In the misty moors and ancient woodlands of England, these feelings weren't just a fleeting fancy. For centuries, they were a terrifying reality, woven into the very fabric of folklore. Today, we're journeying back in time to uncover the forgotten terrors of ancient England, a world haunted by spectral hounds, ghostly huntsmen, and chilling harbingers of doom. Forget the vampires and werewolves of modern horror. The tales we're about to explore are far older, far stranger, and deeply rooted in the English landscape. So, dim the lights, get comfortable, and prepare to meet the creatures that once stalked the nightmares of an entire nation. Let us start with a sound that would strike fear into the heart of any traveler: the baying of hounds in the dead of night. But these were no ordinary dogs. We're talking about the black dog, a spectral beast that has haunted nearly every county in England. From the Black Shuck of East Anglia to the Barghest of Yorkshire, these monstrous canines were a terrifying omen. Picture this: you're walking a lonely country lane, the moon hidden by clouds. Suddenly, you see it. A massive dog, as large as a calf, with shaggy black fur and eyes that glow like burning coals. Its presence is often silent, its paws making no sound on the gravel path. Seeing one was a sign of impending death, either for you or someone you knew. One of the most famous tales of the Black Shuck comes from the towns of Bungay and Blythburgh in 1577. As a terrifying thunderstorm raged, the church doors burst open and the giant hound appeared, wreathed in lightning. It ran through the congregation, killing 2 people and causing the church steeple to collapse before disappearing, leaving behind scorch marks on the church door that some say can still be seen today. What was this creature? A demon? A ghost? A guardian of ancient pathways? Whatever its origin, the black dog served as a powerful reminder that there are some places, and some nights, where humans are not welcome. The fear it inspired was so real that it has echoed through literature, even influencing Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's The Hound of the Baskervilles. But the hounds didn't always hunt alone. Often, they were part of a much larger, more terrifying spectacle: the wild hunt. Imagine a storm brewing, but instead of thunder, you hear the distant call of a hunting horn, the baying of a phantom pack, and the thunderous gallop of spectral horses. Look up, and you might see them, a ghostly procession of huntsmen and hounds tearing across the night sky. The leader of this hunt varies depending on the region. In some parts of England, it was believed to be a pagan god, like Woden. In others, a historical figure cursed to hunt for all eternity, like the dastardly Sir Francis Drake, said to hunt across Dartmoor. To witness the wild hunt was to court disaster. It was considered a harbinger of great catastrophe, like war, plague, or the death of a king. If you were unlucky enough to be caught in its path, you risked being swept up and forced to join the ghastly procession for all time. The best you could do was throw yourself face down on the ground, cover your ears, and pray they passed you by. This myth is incredibly ancient, predating Christianity, and it speaks to a deep-seated primal fear of the untamed wilderness and the powerful, chaotic forces of nature. The hunt represented the storm, the fury of the elements, a terrifying spectacle that was beyond human control. It was a story told to keep people indoors on dark and stormy nights, a warning against straying too far from the safety of the hearth. The leader of the hunt in many English traditions is a figure known as Herne the Hunter. Associated with Windsor Forest and Great Park, Herne is a truly iconic spectre. The story goes that he was a royal keeper in the time of King Richard II. After being falsely accused of treason by his rivals, he took his own life, hanging himself from an oak tree. But his spirit did not rest. He was cursed to haunt the forest, distinguished by the stag antlers he wears upon his head. He's said to ride his phantom horse, tormenting cattle, rattling chains, and appearing near his fateful oak tree, especially during storms. Shakespeare immortalized him in The Merry Wives of Windsor, describing him as a figure with great ragged horns who blasts the tree and takes the cattle. Herne wasn't just a ghost, he was a force of nature, a guardian of the forest who punished those who trespassed or wronged him. His appearance was an omen of national trouble, a sign that all was not well in the kingdom. To see Herne the Hunter was to know that dark times were ahead. He embodies the wild, untamable spirit of the ancient English forests, a link to a pagan past that even centuries of Christianity couldn't fully erase. The legend of Herne, Southwark and Windsor Park persisted for so long that even Queen Victoria claimed to have felt his chilling presence. While spectral hounds and ghostly huntsmen were terrifying, perhaps the most personal and intimate harbingers were the spirits that foretold death within a family. The most famous of these is the Irish Banshee, but England had its own versions. These spirits, often female, were tied to specific aristocratic families. Their mournful cries or wails, heard in the dead of night, signaled that a member of the family was about to die. They weren't necessarily malevolent. In many tales, they were seen as ancestral spirits, lamenting the impending loss of one of their own. One such figure is the called Lad of Hilton Castle in Sunderland. The story says he was a stable boy who was tragically killed by a baron of the castle. His restless spirit remained, causing mischief and chaos. He would throw dishes, disorganize the kitchen, and generally make a nuisance of himself. However, his presence also served as an omen. If the kitchen was found in perfect order, it was a sign that a death in the Hilton family was imminent. The staff knew that the silence of the called lad was far more terrifying than his nightly pranks. These tales show how the supernatural was woven into daily life, from the grandest national events down to the most personal family tragedies. Death wasn't just a biological event, it was something announced, something that cast a shadow before its arrival. Another kind of harbinger wasn't a spirit, but a phenomenon, the corpse candle. In the folklore of England and Wales, people would report seeing mysterious lights, like the flame of a single candle, floating through the air at night. These lights, known as corpse candles or fetch lights, were said to follow the exact route a future funeral procession would take. They would travel from the home of a person who was about to die, along the roads and paths, to the churchyard where they would be buried. The size and brightness of the light were said to indicate the age of the person, a small, dim light for a child, a large, bright one for an adult. Sometimes, people would see a whole procession of lights, foretelling multiple deaths from a sickness or an accident. This belief was incredibly specific and deeply unsettling. Imagine seeing a faint light bobbing along the path to your neighbor's door, only to learn of their passing a few days later. It turned the familiar landscape of one's own village into a map of future sorrows. These lights were not seen as evil, but as a solemn, supernatural premonition, a glimpse into the inescapable reality of mortality. It reflects a time when communities were tightly knit, and the death of one person was a loss felt by all. The corpse candle was a shared, communal vision of grief to come. So what can we make of all these forgotten terrors? These hounds, huntsmen, and harbingers weren't just campfire stories designed to give kids a fright. They were a way for people to make sense of a world that was often dangerous and unpredictable. In an age before modern science, folklore provided explanations for sudden deaths, for the fury of storms, and for that instinctive fear of the dark. The black dog might represent the dangers of traveling alone at night. The wild hunt could be a mythologized memory of invading armies or the terrifying power of a winter gale. Harbingers of death gave a sense of order, however grim, to the suddenness of loss. These stories also served as a powerful connection to the landscape itself. Ancient forests, windswept moors, and lonely country lanes weren't just scenery, they were alive with history, memory, and supernatural power. Every old oak tree, every remote crossroads, could be a place of potent magic and terrifying encounters. The legends anchored people to their local environment, filling it with a sense of wonder, respect, and a healthy dose of fear. They reminded people that the civilized world was just a small island in a vast, wild, and mysterious ocean of the unknown. Though many of these beliefs have faded with the advent of electricity and the decline of rural isolation, they haven't disappeared completely. They live on in our place names, like Shuckla Warren or Grindlesyke. They flicker in our literature and films, and they echo in that primal shiver we still feel when we hear an unexplained noise in the night. The forgotten terrors of ancient England are a vital part of our cultural heritage, a glimpse into the imagination of our ancestors and the fears that haunted their world. They remind us that for all our modern knowledge, there's still a part of us that looks into the darkness and wonders what might be looking back. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey into England's haunted past. What local legends or spooky tales do you know from your area? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this dive into folklore, please hit that like button, and subscribe for more explorations of the strange and forgotten. Stay curious, and maybe keep a light on tonight. Thanks for watching.